Bitcoin eyes 100K. Excitement is building, but caution is definitely warranted here. Hey guys, it's Keith Allen. Yeah, I think we are all pretty excited about what's happening with Bitcoin price action and what it is, really means for the market and some alts. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what happens after the so-called up-only phase. And we're going to talk about how a basket full of alts are relating, are trading relative to this Bitcoin price action as we have 100K coming into focus really, really quickly. Yesterday, we set new all-time highs above first 95, then 96. And then, of course, we wake up to this morning and see things above 98K. And now a bit of a pullback. So we'll climb into that. As per usual, live chat is open. So if you'd like to join me, if you got questions, you've got insight, whatever you've got, as long as it's legit, we're happy to engage with you. We enjoy doing that. Yesterday we had a great call. A great live stream and lots of engagement and some great questions that really, I think, help the overall analysis. So appreciate that, guys. So again, live chat is open on YouTube if you want to join me. If you're watching on one of the other platforms like X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, you can join us over on YouTube, or you could just leave a comment there, and I will be happy to engage with you after the stream. Before we climb in, as per usual, if you like the analysis, do me a favor. Help me grow the channel. I really feel like I'm getting throttled a little bit on the social media platforms, and your engagement really helps me grow. So I appreciate that. Speaking of the social media platforms, we have a pretty monumental sale going on material indicators right now, and this is the Better Than Black Friday sale that, trust me, it's one you want to climb into because 50% off every single long-term plan, annual plans, multi-year plans, including the Premium Plus Toolkit. You can get access to institutional grade crypto market data, our FireCharts heat maps, our MTF and trend precognition trading signals. You get it all. 50% off, but only for a limited time. We're only offering 50 subscriptions at this price. So whether you are a new subscriber, you're somebody that's been thinking about it, you're a new subscriber, want to climb in, this is a great opportunity. Or if you're an existing subscriber and you want to extend or upgrade your plan, this is literally, I promise you, I guarantee you, and I know this because I'm the one that makes the deals, best deal you're going to see all year. Best deal we've ever offered, to be honest with you. We've never offered more than 50%, and don't see that happening anytime soon. Take advantage of it while you can, because interest has been really good, and we're going to sell out of these. So now let's climb into charts, right? I mean, last night, it's funny. I keep moving this line. I keep moving the yellow line here. Our all-time high now sits at $98,367, at least on this exchange. You're going to be, somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on what exchange you're trading on. And the first thing that I see here, looking on the weekly chart, is, we're looking at the structure, right? What is the structure of this move? Well, the structure is, quite frankly, there is no structure. It's a straight rip. And I just want to remind you guys that, I often say up only isn't a thing, and it's hard to, imagine that when you see something like this. We have a 17% move, another 11%, another 8%, and climbing. I'll tell you what happens after up only. After the so-called up only phase is typically a down and to the right phase. So be conscious of that. Now, that does not mean that I don't think we're going to soar. Okay. I do think that 100K gets beat. And we're going to, it's going to take some work to do that, though. Okay. Aknak, good to have you back. Can see a fat sell wall at 98 to 100K. Yes, exactly. I was talking about that this morning on FireCharts. Actually, last night even, I showed it. Here on the weekly time frame, that's $209 million, basically stacked between like, I can see it even more granularly on the daily, like between 99,750 and 100K, we have over 200 million. All right, 209 million now, between 99, 750, and 200K. And if we zoom out to the 3-year chart, I could tell you that is, without a doubt, the largest concentration of liquidity we've seen in one spot, not just in the last 3 years that we show here on FireCharts, but as long as I can remember. That's one exchange, one spot at the at this binning level here on the 3-year chart. It's binned a little bit differently from time frame to time frame. That looks like 262 million. That is roughly between the 99 200 mark and the 100K mark. All right, that's a lot. And again, look at these straight lines. A tiny bit of consolidation here and another straight line. And so there's not a lot of places you see that on the chart where we've had that much upside without any return. Maybe back here at the beginning of the year, we ripped up, but we had consolidation levels. Look, they're like steps. They're like stairs. Boom, we consolidated around, down here. We actually started, way down here and consolidated in this 20 to 25K range. Then we moved up here. These ranges, these build structure and support. We had another bit here, and we chopped after this 50 to 52K range. We went to an all-time high, and we came back and we traded this range for months and months and months and months until finally retesting down here at the 54K level, and we double bottomed in this range, and it's off to the races. This, of course, since election day, the quote unquote Trump pump is, well, it's a thing, right? And we had told you, I told you a long time ago, even before the election, that I thought if he won, we would see a pump. Had no idea how high it would go, how fast it would go. Obviously, there's a lot of things that are fueling that, including just incredible ETF demand going along with this. As we can see, we've had, close to like 2 billion in Bitcoin ETF inflows here in just the past 3 days. So that's helping push things for sure. What did ETH have yesterday? ETH was looking pretty rough a couple days ago, and it's obviously doing better today. But yesterday was not kind to ETH in the ETF realm either. BlackRock bought a little bit, but there was selling as well. And so what that looks like in the charts, let's see what ETH is looking like right now. ETH actually is having a pretty good day. Look at this. A 8.5% candle at the moment. And I'm batting a little bit out of order here, but one of the things I like about this chart, I'll be honest, I'm not really a huge fan of ETH. I hold some because, well, it's number 2 market cap and it's Bitcoin, and, it should do something. There's some fundamental things wrong with it, a lot of fundamental things wrong with it that I don't like, but at the moment, the market is embracing it. I like that we are above the structure. I like that we are above the golden pocket. I like that it is holding above the 200-day moving average, rather. I like that we have a golden cross happening here between the 21 and the 200 moving average. All of those things are net positive for ETH price action. And if it can clear these prior highs, then we've got a chance to really see it do something. Plenty of upside potential there, of course. If we look at the fib retracement from the all-time high, just from where we go from here, potentially, I don't know about you, but I'm assuming that ETH is also going to eventually make an all-time high at some point in time in this market, and that's quite a ways away, right? That's even if there's a rejection, I'll take the 46% move and be very happy with it. Anything that comes after that, pure gravy, in my opinion. Let's see what else. ACNAC has more. And so do you think the MicroStrategy purchase 2.6 billion and Mar Holdings purchase of 1 billion will be enough to overcome this resistance? I don't know about that per se. I don't know where they're trading. I don't know, if that's been executed already. Whatever the case is, the demand is still there, right? But I just don't like these uh, these super fast straight rips. Yeah, especially if it's OTC, that doesn't really affect the order book. Wondering how much influence it'll make in the trading market to break through the 100K threshold. So I'll say this about Saylor's strategy and what he telegraphs. Right, he says pretty provocative things about Bitcoin. Right, a lot of it is true. A lot of it is speculative. He has massive long-term price targets, 20 some odd year horizon of in the tens of millions. I think I saw something like 13 million from him. That's purely speculative, but it gets people excited about it, right? And it gets people investing in his company because he's building a reserve, a treasury of Bitcoin. How that trade unwinds for him, I don't know. Seems like a risky bet. I don't fully understand or like the mechanics of it. I kind of understand what he's doing. He's basically leveraging the value of his stock to buy more Bitcoin. But at some point in time, um, that just seems like it's not going to end well. It's going to be great until it's not. Kind of like up only. Up only is great until it's not. Up only happens until down to the right happens. And down to the right happens after these up only phases. So keep that in mind. So yeah, ACNAC predicting, validating what I just said. It was 13 million by 2045. So that's just, hopefully that's not a Terra Luna situation. Maybe he is the new Terra Luna. Who knows? Right now he's banking a whole lot of money, and a lot of people are doing so. Would I ape into that trade now at this point? Hard to say, right? Long-term horizon on any trade at this point. If you're investing long term, right, and you have conviction that we're going to see new all-time highs, then that kind of speaks for itself. I personally like to DCA my way into positions because I think that there really aren't straight lines. There will be dips. There will be corrections, and I kind of anticipate one happening at some point in time with Bitcoin. The question is, where does it come from? Right? Is it going to come from here? Is it going to come for this 100K mark? Is it going to come potentially from the cup and handle target, which is up at 122.5K? That's the measured move on the cup and handle. And I don't necessarily think that is the absolute top. I just think that's the top of this structure on a measured move. We're seeing now a lot of calls up in the mid to high 100K range. So conceivable, all of those things are conceivable. Whether price makes it back up into this channel or not remains to be seen, and whether that happens this cycle or the next cycle remains to be seen. So in terms of those corrections, something that we know that historically there have been plenty of times where there have been large corrections in bull markets, right? I mean, it happens all the time. It happens in every single bull market. So don't think that it can't. And yesterday, I showed you this move here, the mid-cycle top for 2021. It was a 56% drawdown before we went back up to an all-time high. So it's conceivable that we see something like that again, sure. But as we see these moving averages dragging up higher, in my opinion, it's less likely that we go lower. I think that there's still viable targets for sure, and a black swan could take us there. But let's look at where things could potentially go and where those viable targets might be. And it's really hard to identify a great target on the weekly chart right now because we just don't have enough structure here, right? This consolidation is good. And this consolidation, especially if we look at the daily chart, kind of indicates that this 69K level that we fought so hard for so long is really the validated RS flip, and the last really great support level in the chart. We had an RS flip. I guess we could say here at this 72.6 level, right? We had tops, we had tops, we had tops, we had another top, and we broke out. So this is really where the breakout occurred from. RS flip validated at 69K, breakout validated at 72.6, and slight bit of consolidation here around the 75, 76K level. A little bit more here, a little bit in the 80s, but really more, in my opinion, around 90. And we can see that again if we drill it. This is where I find myself looking at higher, at lower time frames, is to try and find consolidations where we have very little, right? So easier to see here on the lower time frame that we do have some here, 76, 70, really that 76K level. Here's the 86K level, 80, 86, 87, right? 87.5. And then a bit more here at 90K, which we retested a couple days ago, beginning of the week, and now we're out. So we ticked a new all-time high, 98.3K, and now a bit of a pullback. Yesterday was a big pullback day. Well, I say big, but it was only 1.3. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong candles. That's why. Yesterday was not a pullback day. That was just a previous 4-hour candle. Sorry about that, guys. But it's a pullback from the all-time high, as you can see, right? We ticked the all-time high, and then nothing. A 1.3% pullback is literally nothing in this game for crypto, right? So are we going to hold here and then push forward, or are we going to pull back to one of the key moving averages? The ones that are important to me are on the daily and weekly. So we were talking before this of something like a retracement like we had here, which was a 56% downside move. Where would we end up if we got such a move from here? And why might we go there? Well, let's see. From this level, it would be a 16% move to the 21-day moving average. It would be a 26% move to the 50-day moving average. And I think those are all reasonable ideas, right? That 21-day moving average gets us to about 82K level. Support is better at the 50, right? Where we're at 70. That's where we had that RS flip, that breakout move validated. So that's pretty interesting to me. If we were to go down even deeper, the 200-day moving average is 33% move. That's around 65K. If you lose that 69, it is where it starts to get interesting. Could potentially go down to the trend line. That's a 47% move. And we said 56. Where does that get us? It gets us right here squarely in this prior consolidation range in the mid 40s. And let's look at what this looks like on the weekly time frame. Look at that. There's confluence actually with the 200 week moving average. So those are all, in my mind, reasonable downside targets. Just doesn't seem at the moment like there's any sentiment for that. And the reason I say that is because there's literally no or very little liquidity down in that range below really the 84K range, something like that. Let's refresh and get a better look at that. Okay, you can see here on lower time frames how things start to thin out below 85K. Now, I want to zoom out again and see how far this ladder goes down. This ladder goes down to 50K, and then price kind of drops off. So no sentiment in that range. All the sentiment is at this point above 85K. We had a guy yesterday talking about shorting from 85K and how he was hurting, and I feel for him in that. I don't like seeing anybody get wrecked in this market. But here's something else that's interesting. If you're a gap trader and you subscribe to the CME gap theory, we have a pretty fat gap that is between 77,930 and 80.6. And so that move would be from the all-time high, 20%, 21% move. And again, very common to see a 20 to 50 plus percent move in a bull market. So don't think that it can't happen just because we're soaring right now. Um, and as I was saying earlier, I don't know if I completed the thought, but when we talked about the potential for a Trump pump after the election, if he had won, uh, my theory is this: the the faster and higher it goes, without any retracement or any consolidation, the greater potential for a nasty retracement. Okay, and this right here would hurt a lot of people. I'd be fine with it personally, and it would create opportunities for more people to come in. But because we have so much demand, especially on the ETF side, I think that these little dips are getting absorbed pretty quickly. Now, there are certainly catalysts that could change this. There are certainly catalysts that could trigger a black swan, and geopolitical unrest certainly is a front runner of topics that might be catalysts at the moment. So keep that in mind. Uh, Fear and greed is really at hot levels here. If we go to the max this out, right, and we look, this is all the way back to 2018. We're moving up to a period where we've seen some prior local tops back in early mid March, where things topped out around 73.8. Our Of course, our 2021 top. These were all hot, frothy periods where fear and greed was extremely high. Talking in the 90s, we're currently in the mid 80s, right? Low to mid 80s. We were at 88 last week. We're at 82 now. So keep that in mind. Um, Back to the charts, we talked about the sell wall that we see on FireCharts. We talked about that massive sell wall, and that's a lot to penetrate. That's a lot to eat through. And so I expect that to take some time. Now, what happens when we get there? I think a couple of things are going to happen. I think there's going to be a lot of drama when Bitcoin actually finally crosses this level. I think that it is going to both trigger some algos and some manual trading. I think we're going to see a lot of shorts open at this range. I think it's going to, we're going to see a lot of institutional guys aping in the breakout from 100K. And of course, the crypto bros are all going to celebrate, and they're going to post a bunch of, I told you so garbage and, whatever. So anticipate all those things happening. And the excitement really is not a great thing. Okay. Because it often leads to local tops. So, if and when that happens, and I really think it's a when we break this level, I think that those shorts are going to get squeezed. I think the late longers are then going to get flushed, and then we will see the next leg up into price discovery, and that could take us to any number of places. Like I said before, my immediate target on this measured move is 122.5K. And then from there, what happens remains to be seen. We could, I view this structure, this parallel channel from, really the lifetime structure of Bitcoin to be a bit of a glass ceiling. We could certainly break back into it, and likewise, we might not, right? We could chop along this forever and ever, and still see $1 million Bitcoin and never make it back into the channel. Now, I think if these targets that people are talking about now, and some of the institutional guys are in the, like I said, the 160 to 180K range for this cycle, and maybe even higher, then we potentially go in here, and then the next glass ceiling becomes the midline on the channel. And from there, the next glass ceiling is the top of the channel. And that's years down the road. And that's at that point, you're talking about multi-million dollar Bitcoin. Um, ANAC. ANAC, you're dominating the chat today. What are my views on alt season? Are we going to see it this cycle, or is this cycle just for Bitcoin? Gosh, that's a great question, and I really, I'll be honest with you. I do not specialize in shitcoinery, but I see opportunities, right? So my position is largely Bitcoin dominant. I have a little bit of ETH. I've got a little bit of Litecoin. I've got a little bit of Solana and Matic or Polygon, whatever you want to call it. But really nominal bags of that stuff just to diversify and to take advantage of staking where I can take advantage of staking of them all. Litecoin is the one that I like the most fundamentally. And maybe Solana behind that, but we also know that fundamentals still don't resonate with crypto. I mean, look at what Doge has done. And so, speaking of which, I said we would look at some of these altcoins, and we can do that. I think that the altcoin market will find its footing, but just yesterday people were complaining, why aren't alts? Bitcoin's going up, why aren't alts climbing too? Well, there's two kind of forces at work here. One, a high tide raises all boats. However, when the mothership, in this case Bitcoin, is positioned to run, we've historically seen money rotate out of alts into Bitcoin to take advantage of those moves. And so that creates dip buying opportunities for those alts. And now we're seeing, today we're seeing some of those alts recover from that. We talked a bit about ETH, pretty much in that position right now. And I do think that ETH is likely to find its way to an all-time high, because even though the ETF flows into ETH look anemic and dismal compared to Bitcoin ETFs, it's still a pretty impressive instrument in terms of the volume that it's done relative to other new ETFs. In terms of other alts, let's take a look at a couple. Let's go to, okay, so I was just discussing with somebody that Matic is now called Polygon. And the reason I still call it Matic, other than being an OG and liking that chart better, is, the name change just happened in September. And if you look on Binance, there's no chart history, only since September. So I still track it and chart it as Matic. And that gives me more chart history. And I happen to like what I see in this chart, and I'm staking a little bit of it on Coinbase. So I'm pretty happy with that position at this point. And there's lots of upside potential, in my opinion. Again, this thing's coming off of literally a bottom, and so, or at least a bottom relative to its time on Coinbase. And this is one of the reasons I don't like that they changed the name, because there's no, I can't find the history anymore on the exchanges where it lasted a long time. So if anybody has some insight as to where I could see a bigger chart, with longer history on Polygon, let me know. Grayscale buying Litecoin in heaps. Yes, this is another reason why I like Litecoin, right? They see something, I see something, fundamentally, and if they're going to put some volume behind it, that's going to help price. We charted this yesterday in terms of where I think this could potentially go. At the very least, the fact that we're above all the daily moving averages, they're still unwinding in terms of golden crosses, but we still need to get above the 200-week moving average, which is a nice move from here for anybody who may be not in Litecoin yet. There's opportunity here. Price has changed since yesterday, so let's go to where our active price is. Right, that's a 18% move to the 200-week moving average. It's a 45% move to the 0.5 fib. Top of that golden pocket being the 618 fib is a 91% move. So plenty of upside potential there with a downside risk to the trend line at about 17%. And then if it goes to at least to its all-time high, even if it's a rejection, that's a 370% move. And if there's a breakout from there, then my goodness, that's generational, life-changing money, 1,800%. So I like the potential for upside with Litecoin. Yesterday, as things were dipping down, I was like, ooh, do I want to trim this position and take a little profit? And I decided I wanted to trust the process, stick with my conviction until I see a sign that things are turning around. So if it breaks this trend line, then yeah, I'll take some lumps. But I like where we're at right now. I don't have the greatest entry, but I have one that's in profit at this point, and so I'm going to let it keep maturing. What else did I say? Oh, Solana is another one that's been, talking about having an alt season. The alt season will happen when Bitcoin gets to a consolidation, perhaps, and maybe even on if we get a retracement, we'll see. We'll likely see that happen. But let's look at where Solana is. Solana is literally, I think, only about 5% from its all-time high. Okay. And so, gosh, I had this on another chart someplace. Oh, hold on a second. It's because I just did it on the Litecoin chart. I don't want to do that. Let me find the right chart. All right. Here we can look at Solana, and I have some history on my Solana chart, I'm sure. Here we go. Also, in a, these are macro fib retracements from the all-time high to the swing low. And so it's cleared the channel. It's cleared the golden pocket. It's now literally sniffing up against its all-time high, which 5% away from its all-time high. And if it goes up from there, where does price discovery take you? It takes you up to that 1.6618 fib, and that's a 60% move. That's another one that I'm staking. So, I'm happy with my entry. I'm in good shape. I'm in profit, and I'm staking with it. So I like it. Atom is another one, and I initially really had interest in this coin because of the yield on staking, but I'm not going to lie, I chickened out a little bit because I don't like the 25-day unlock period. So I'm just holding it right now and letting it appreciate this move. I see potential resistance coming up at about $8.75, and then a lot of potential to make it up to the golden pocket here. So let's look at the risk reward on that setup just from here. I would see we obviously have, gosh, I don't know why this does this to me. We have downside risk. I would take to that support level, which was my entry. Okay. And upside potential. If we run into resistance on this trend line, that's about a 33% move. If we run up to the 0.382 fib, that's 200%. And then if we talk golden pocket, top of the golden pocket, which would be another likely place to get rejected from, at least temporarily. If it makes it that high, that's still a 360% move. All-time high move would get you to 600%. And if it also goes to a breakout, that's off the charts, by the way, then how much does that move? 1,000%. These are generational wealth type moves that we don't see very, very often. Not saying that we're going to get it, but you damn well better believe if that opportunity is there, I want to be positioned for it. So I think it's good not to just chase after every shitcoin you can. I think it's good to find coins that maybe you have some confidence in, like I feel about Litecoin. Doge is one that really has no purpose, but the more Elon Musk gets entrenched in the government, and he and Vivek are starting a podcast now called Dogecast. He keeps hammering Doge, and there's not going to be any guardrails to stop him from doing anything that manipulates price, because look at the cabinet of derelicts that are getting put forth. So nobody's going to be stopping anything. It's going to be it's it's going to be an exciting 4 years. Nonetheless, I see potential opportunity there, as we were talking about Doge as well. I think Doge has further to go to get back to its all-time high, but obviously some strength here as well in what it's doing. Right, it's coming off of a monumental move. This was a huge move since. I mean, there was an 83% 1 week candle coming off of the election. And so, yes, we expect to have a little pullback from that. But the fact that it is held above this support line is very, this is an RS flip right here, right? We had prior resistance, and the fact that it's held above this is a sign of strength. If we lose this, then I close that position, but potentially there's more room for this one to appreciate into 50% to the next potential resistance level, and then it's a 92% move to the all-time high, and then potentially beyond. So I think these things will happen. I think that these alts have a better chance when Bitcoin finally cools off a little bit. When that happens, whether that happens from where we sit now, 100K, 122.5K, or some number in between, or beyond, who knows? But the one thing I will caution you is, one, we talk about straight lines not being sustainable, and here is proof of that, right? You get cool offs, you get pullbacks and consolidations. And the other thing is, and we have a dashboard metric that in the MI dashboard that we were sharing in the Telegram community this morning. And guess what? I'm not going to share that with you here publicly, because we really kind of preserve this alpha for our members. But I will invite you to come join the Telegram community. There's a link to that in the description of this video, and also in the Material Indicators Twitter page. Come join us there, and you can see that metric that indicates that price may be approaching a blow-off top. And blow-off tops don't necessarily mean the end of the market, but they do signify local tops. So we could see a consolidation here, bit of a retracement. We talked about that 20 to 56% range. There have been times it's been larger. There have been times it's been smaller, but I'm prepared for something in that range. And quite frankly, if we get it, I think that only shows strength, because we test support at that point. And where I'd really like to see that support happen is at one of the key levels, right? Supporting, the gap fill is there. We know we have that CME gap that we talked about in that 77 range. But I'd rather it hit a technical target, because let's say it goes to that. The gap was 70, I think I said 77.9. So we'll call it 78K to 80.5-ish, right? Somewhere in that range. So let's look at what we actually have in terms of technical support at 78K. There's no structure. No structure. We have the top of it here just on these 2 weekly candles, but we don't have really anything at 78K. So if we're to fill that CME gap, I would anticipate it getting overshot to potentially this 72.6 level, potentially, or wherever the 50-day moving average ends up at that time. I could also see it potentially coming into the 2021 top, because there's nothing here. So keep that in mind. Be prepared for it. Maybe you save a little powder for it along the way for those opportunities. Let's see. Bad thing for altcoins: when Bitcoin has a correction, they're going to get smashed. Yes, they are. Listen, everything's going to come plummeting when that happens briefly, but it's going to create opportunities, and the alts are going to be soaring after that, right? So say they all dump and Bitcoin starts to consolidate down there again. That's when you're going to see, likely see altcoins start to regain some strength, maybe have an alt season of their own, and then Bitcoin starts to climb and money rotates again out of those altcoins back into Bitcoin. And of course, we have more institutional money coming into Bitcoin than we do the alts. But as we mentioned, some alts like Litecoin and Solana are starting to get some institutional attention as well. There's really a lot to look at and consider in this market. There's something for every kind of trader. Just make sure you are managing your risk. All right. That gap does not have to get filled. They tend to like to get filled, but it doesn't have to get filled. So keep that in mind as well. We're literally in uncharted territory here, and going to be interesting to see how things develop. And for everybody that was complaining of, how bored they were when we chopped, well, the excitement is here. Just make sure that you're managing your risk relative to the excitement, and that you don't end up giving back everything that you earned in this market. All right. Bruno coming in with a late comment. If alts get decimated once BTC corrects, doesn't it make sense to wait until buying? Listen, catching knives is not a great strategy if you're doing it blindly. Right? Things will settle down, but you're going to find the opportunities, and you look for the setups. Right? You don't just buy blindly; you look for setups. And the tool that I use to help me with that, in addition to my technical analysis and my FireCharts where I'm finding liquidity, is I'm using the MTF mean reversion indicator to identify those spots where price is likely to bounce from. Right? Here's Doge, and this is the past couple weeks of Doge. Right? Finding entries, taking profits. Finding entries, taking profits. And you can set the parameters to whatever the volatility of the asset is that you're trading, and find opportunities to buy dips and sell the rips. You want info on that stuff? Again, descriptions are in the links are in the description, and it's all bundled on sale right now, 50% off. For a limited time, only 50 going at that price, at that deep discount, 50% off until they're all sold out at materialindicators.com. Marius, what's he got to say? Pepe still the best shit coin to dabble with. That's an opinion, maybe so. I haven't even looked at it. I'll be honest with you. I don't dabble much in memes, but let's take a look. Since you brought it up, I'm a man of my word. I told you I would check stuff out. Yeah, as you can see, I haven't spent any time charting Pepe. Actually, if I did, I would have charted it on a different chart. Let me go to my trend precognition chart and see if I have any history on Pepe. Yeah, not on my radar, but at all-time highs, right? So there's that. And what happens? What happens after straight lines? I say it all the time. 47% daily candle based on what? Fucking nothing. You know, and then what's the retracement here so far? 30%. So those are coins that, yes, you can make a lot of money. Just don't get greedy. Pick your targets, take your money, and fucking run. Simple as that. All right, guys, going to leave it right there. This has been another fun one. and and now the hits keep on coming. I keep trying to wrap it. You guys keep giving me more to look at. So I'll look at another one and potentially like, one or two more if you guys come in with another, but I gotta do things. I gotta trade. Um, I got customers to take care of. The setup on Philcoin is pretty interesting to me because of the bottom that was formed here. Looks like a nice hard support, right? So, and there's plenty of upside potential. Lots of upside potential. I mean, this looks like it's literally almost a lifetime. I mean, it came very close to the lifetime bottom. So that's pretty interesting to me. There's some potential. I've got some potential technical resistance here at about $5.73, and lots of upside potential from there. Even if we get just to that from here, that's a 25% move. Next resistance from there, about 137% move. And if it were to ever make it back to all-time high territory, sheesh, that'd change your life right there. Might have to take a flyer on that one. All right, I'm gonna do some more analysis on Filecoin. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it right there. Hope everybody has a fantastic week. I hope that the info and the data that I'm sharing with you is helping you make more informed decisions and at least gives you some perspective to think about before you push buttons. Make smart decisions. All right, guys. Have a good one. We will be back at it, of course. If I see anything significant developing, I'll do my best to keep you informed. And I'll post something on Twitter. And hey, join us in the Telegram community. Links are in the description and on the Material Indicators Twitter page. Bye bye.